She lifted her hands with great effort and caressed his large head, which was covered with soft, short fur. A jolt she could only describe as ecstatic spiritual power surged from her pounding heart into her arms. She could see a glow spread between them until they were enclosed by a shimmering aura. A whole lifetime of her prayers, hopes, dreams, searching and shared love played out between her small hands. She cried out at her own beauty she now saw so clearly, her love for all, how much she had been given and could give. She had never felt such contentment in her life. He shifted over to her soft belly, and for the first time she felt her lips on her flesh. With that warm touch, he inhaled from her the knowledge of the birth of her 3 precious children, as those joyous memories washed over her again. From those ministrations, he started a slight sucking motion on her engorged left nipple. Impossibly, she felt liquid spurt into her mouth, like so long ago. He made a low guttural sound as the warm essence splashed onto his tongue. What was he going to worship next of her? Yes, it felt like worship, a benediction of her body, with this ultimate gentle lover and confidant going deeper into her soul than she ever thought humanly possible. Was this a need for him and his kind? Something they could only get from humans, and perhaps only from humans who truly believe? His head moved again and lingered over a moist, densely haired armpit, and he breathed deeply of her natural scent. His tongue flipped into the miasmic aroma. This erogenous place was also the essence of her, the place where she couldn't help but reveal all her complicated, chemically charged human emotions. Fear, happiness, sadness, joy, love, compassion and anger were revealed to him from within her telltale body. For the first time, she became aware of his alien manhood. A long, warm appendage was tapping against her stomach, and the vibrations reached deep into her womb. He slowly lowered his face towards her, and she could smell his feral breath. His tongue spilling a flood of all she had ever spoken throughout her life. She began crying and laughing at the same time, as the memories seemed to exist separately, yet without confusion. When he lifted his head from her lips, she clutched him with both arms, begging him not to leave, to keep this moment forever. Blindly, she reached for his lingam, strong and hot against her belly. He uttered a deep staccato groan when she stroked him. She guided him down onto her waiting flesh, and his large knob slid quickly to her venous lips and into her waiting cunt, making her shriek loudly. Once completely inside her, he didn't thrust, but the exquisite throbbing of his cock made her scream with an orgasm that was an accumulation of all her orgasms that she had ever come before. In the morning, she awoke with the sun shining into the open tent flap. She found a few strands of soft, lightly colored hair clutched in her left hand. Would Sasquatch visit her again?
Sisters, raffle prize time, raffle prize time. Thank you so much. Anybody ready to go camping now? I don't know about you, that's never happened to me in a tent. Okay, so we're going to do our first raffle prize, and this is for some of the books. We've got Jenny Orvino's CD and book. As well, we have a book from Ruth Hoppy, Praise, Piss, and Promises. We have 2 things from Michael Lorraine. I don't even know what to call it, but poems, stories. Where did he go? Michael? He's back there. Okay, well, wait, you're going to win it, whatever it is. Okay. All right, that's bigger things. All right, our first number is 2489230. Anybody?
Oh,
Takers? In the back? All right. Come on. Yeah, sure. Kind of done. I'm done. That was it. It's a quick raffle break. Yeah, that's it. Everybody back from break? Okay. Yeah, I'm fine with the stuff back there. You guys were fine with the stuff? Okay. All right. So now I have to introduce myself. So, let's see. Pink Lady. I'm Pink Lady because that's the name that I've used to write erotica for the Good Vibrations website, Good Vibes. So if you look up Pink Lady, Good Vibes, you can find a couple of my stories. I had a story first. My first erotic story was published in an anthology. The story was called 3 Women in a Tub. True story. It's from a book, Early Embraces 2, More True Life Stories of Women Describing Their First Lesbian Experience. So look it up. You can still get it on Amazon. All right. I think... Okay. I am not jealous of what came before me. Come with a man on your shoulders. Come with 100 men in your hair. Come with 1,000 men between your breasts and your feet. Early on, he quoted Pablo Neruda to me. He wanted a woman who chose pleasure over shame, ecstasy over guilt. A woman who valued her sexual experiences and who was open to more. He told me his mother probably never had an orgasm, although she had had over 10 pregnancies. For her, sex was an obligation, something that men needed and women provided, but did not enjoy. He did not want to marry his mother. His seduction was slow and calculated. I was in a relationship. He was just getting out of one. We worked together, and although he wasn't my boss, he was in a position of power over me. Those circumstances didn't seem to matter as much as his desire and determination to have me. We were both writers, and his seduction began with words. The stories of his family, his drive to write about life on both sides of a border, and the painful legacy of racism and poverty through the eyes of his brothers and sisters. As his words touched me, I began to fantasize about the same passion emanating from his slender brown fingers. If they were to touch my hair, my lips, my body, I was hooked on this man. I still remember the floor-length, silky black skirt I wore the first time he told me how attracted he was to me, how he liked how it fit the curve of my ass. I liked the way he talked about women's bodies. Somehow he made it feel less like objectification and more like the honest acknowledgement of an appreciation for beauty. I lied to my partner to spend time with him. I didn't feel good about it, but at the time it felt as though I had no other option. This man was pulling me towards him. Our first date was dinner out, eating sushi. There was no sex. But eating sushi, favorite of my partners, felt like a betrayal. I knew I had crossed a line as I savored the burst of each salmon roe egg in my mouth while looking into the dark eyes of this man across from me. Eating ikura feels like getting knocked down by a wave in the ocean and you're suddenly tasting the saltiness of the water as it forces its way between your lips. I was still being cautious, holding back, trying to decipher the difference between love and lust, between what I wanted and who I wanted. We went back to his place and stood outside on the balcony. It was just starting to get dark and the air felt cool against our skin. We had our first kiss, but it wasn't on the lips. I was wearing a skirt and a rust-colored tight cotton shirt that left my midriff exposed. In those days, I hardly ever wore a bra, and my nipples were standing at attention. He got down on his knees in front of me and with the lightest touch, he put his lips on my exposed belly. I breathed deeply into the sensation. Every inch of my body was alert, tingling, waiting for more. The gentleness with which he moved his lips up and down the space below my breast to the top of my skirt was a welcome torture. I could feel my breasts rise and fall with each breath and my cunt opening up. I moved my hips slowly by instinct and ran my fingers through his silky black hair. He remained so controlled, only making the most delicate of movements. I felt I was being worshipped and tortured at the same time. I had the feeling of wanting more, but knowing that more would change this moment that I wanted to hold on to for as long as we both could. True story. All right, let me gather myself back up here. Oh, is it time for a raffle prize already? Okay, I guess it is. Yeah, let's just do a quickie. Oh, it's over here. Okay. Yeah, do you want to come up and help? Sure, that'd be awesome. Thank you, sister. Okay, so next we're going to do the Eye Candy Pole Dance Studio gift certificates. They should be right there with the eye candy. 2 envelopes. I know. All right, somebody's feeling lucky? Okay. All right. 2, 4, 8, 9, 2, 1, 6. Somebody got it? Somebody got it? Woo! Chris! All right.
Not a fix.
All right. All right, I'll be seeing you in class, Chris, okay? All right? All right. Next, we're going to have Ruth Hoppe. Ruth Hoppe is an intercultural minister and Traeger bodywork practitioner who has been writing poetry since childhood. She has studied extensively with the Human Awareness Institute, which offers workshops on love, intimacy, and sexuality. Come on, Ruth.
Hi. My first poem is A Warm Room. I wonder how warm this room can get. Sweat dripping out of armpits warm. Musky smells drifting through air currents warm. Audible breathing warm. My lover sits beside me, eager to help, stroking my thigh so cool and so slow as I listen to your words, spoken, unspoken, feeling my clit commune throbbingly with your pulsating parts, your desires. And you believed they were private. Your desires and your parts. Ha! In this warm room, we share everything. That was a recent poem. Now I'd like to share with you one that's a bit different. I wrote it the first time, January 23, 1991. Iraq had invaded Kuwait. The United States was dropping bombs on Baghdad. and I attended a meditation on peace. And during this, I had a vision which made me laugh out loud in the middle of the meditation. It was so powerful. And the only way I could express this vision is this way. Two nations' leaders meet face to face, burdened with ghosts of dead soldiers and spent missiles, mortally suspicious, emotionally defended, and peer into blue eyes and brown eyes asking, who is the person with those eyes? Why does he behave the way he does? He is unbearably evil. We have no hope to communicate with each other. They shake cold hands and begin to talk. And they come back to the eyes. Shockingly deep pools of passion, fierce strength. Not like they thought it would be before the world's most brutal chief met the commander most afraid of being called wimp. As burning incense swirls slowly through the room, they read the exquisite calligraphy found lying on the table. Half of what I say is meaningless, but I say it so that the other half may reach you. By Khalil Gibran. Eyes, 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 searching eyes. Eyes for seeing each other in a different light. Eyes for seeing each other as lovers. Hands meet again with promise. Fingers touch faces, stroking gently. One takes off his glasses and lays them aside. Hands stroke hair on the chest and heaving breasts. Breathy pants fill the air, sighing lungs. Mouths meet for the first time, gently then firmly, filling each other's with tongue, hands grip glutes, clothing falls to the floor. Nibbles arise to muslin lips, bellies moon with kisses. One touches the other's rod with his lips like a prayer. Each surrenders himself, offers his holy parts into the hands of the enemy, former enemy. Strokes and licks, cradling, caressing, probing, exploring, until loaded weapons ram into the heart of the stranger, the friend. Hours later, all exhausted, spent, finished, lying in each other's arms on the plum flying carpet. Two men bathe in the light of each other's auras. What sickly, fearful shades have transformed into healthy, inspiring hues. Again, they peer into each other's eyes, and one said, forgive me for ever thinking you were evil, for I didn't know that you are a brother under Allah. And the other speaks, forgive me, for I had no idea that you carry the Christ within you. And the angel of Khalil Gibran sang a note of exceeding sweetness. And finally, another recent poem. Just a baby poem, a few days old. Some days I'm so unfocused. I say, yes, that's the spot. And then I drift off into tomato plants. A trip to Bali. Is that a pimple on my face? Coming back when the stroke isn't working anymore. I'm totally cool when I want to be warm. Yes, please do that some more. And then my mind flies away again on one of his little trips across town to another man, not the one stroking me, who tells me I'm perfectly gorgeous. Some days I ride the waves of pleasure like a skilled surfer on Kuta Beach, as two fingers stroke in and out my well-oiled track, pushing against the interior cushion that reddens up my face, and your other hand arranges and rearranges the bouquet of my labia and my clit. I spasm so hard, tears run from my eye sockets. Which day is someday?